Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today, Nexalin Technology NXL just filed an 8K, and I am seeing some surprisingly important changes to how the company operates. Quick note, this is not financial advice, just my take on public filings for educational purposes. This filing introduces some significant shifts in company governance that could impact shareholder power and legal recourse. So, what is the big news? Nexalin Technology Incorporated, or NXL, has updated its bylaws, and these aren't just minor tweaks. Think of bylaws as the internal rulebook for a company. They dictate how the company is run, how decisions are made, and how shareholders interact with the company's leadership. The main event happened on the 16th of June 2026, when the board of directors approved the second amended and restated bylaws. This basically replaces the old rulebook with a new, updated one that is effective immediately. Let's dive into what is actually changed. One of the key areas is how shareholders can nominate directors and bring up other business at meetings. They've revised the procedures to be more in line with new regulations, specifically mentioning Rule 14 and -19 under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. This means there are new rules about timing and how many people shareholders can propose as directors. They've also clarified that the process they've laid out is the only way shareholders can nominate directors at special meetings. They've also changed some fundamental aspects of shareholder meetings. For instance, the quorum requirement for meetings has been lowered. Previously, you needed a majority of the voting power of outstanding shares for a meeting to be valid. Now, it has been reduced to just 1/3 of the voting power. This means that a smaller percentage of shareholders showing up or being represented can make decisions for the entire company. This can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, it makes it easier to hold meetings and get business done. On the other, it lessens the power of individual shareholders and could allow a smaller group to push through decisions. Another significant change is how shareholders can take action. Previously, it seems like it was difficult or impossible for shareholders to act by written consent without holding a formal meeting. Now, they've put in place procedures for shareholders to take action by consent without a meeting. This could potentially speed up decision-making for shareholder initiatives. They've also set up rules for how to handle consents and revocations, involving independent inspectors to make sure everything is fair and transparent. The bylaws also touch upon how the board of directors itself operates. This includes aspects like the structure of the board, how long directors serve, how vacancies are filled, and how directors can resign or be removed. These are all important for the day-to-day governance and stability of the company. Perhaps one of the most legally impactful changes is the new forum selection provision. This dictates where lawsuits against the company must be filed. For most internal corporate matters, like breach of fiduciary duty or claims under Delaware law, lawsuits will have to be brought in Delaware courts, either the Court of Chancery or the Federal District Court of Delaware. This is intended to keep legal disputes within a specific, predictable legal environment. For claims related to the Securities Act of 1933, federal courts in the US will be the exclusive venue. However, this specific provision does not apply to claims under the Securities Exchange Act of 1934. This is a common move for companies to try and streamline and potentially limit the locations where they might face litigation, which can be costly and time-consuming. It is designed to prevent lawsuits from being filed in inconvenient or potentially unfavorable jurisdictions. The full details of these changes are in Exhibit 3.1, which are the second amended and restated bylaws themselves. Also, as part of this filing, we see the standard listing of exhibits, including the bylaws we just discussed, and the interactive data file. Looking at Nexalin Technology itself, it is a company in the healthcare and medical devices sector, focused on treatments for conditions like anxiety and depression using their DIFS technology. They have a relatively small market cap, around $8 million, and a small team of 8 employees. Their stock has been trading in a fairly narrow range, around 30 to 40 cents recently. They have announced some positive news regarding clinical abstracts for their treatment efficacy and have launched an AI-powered virtual clinic, which shows they are innovating. Institutional investors like Peak 6 LLC and Vanguard hold small stakes, suggesting some level of institutional confidence, though not massive. The report is signed by Mark White, the Chief Executive Officer. Overall, Nexalin Technology, Inc. has put in place new bylaws that streamline corporate governance and shareholder actions, particularly by lowering the quorum requirement and establishing clear processes for shareholder engagement and legal proceedings. The forum selection clause is a significant move aimed at controlling litigation risks. While these changes aim to improve operational efficiency and legal predictability, the reduced quorum threshold warrants attention as it potentially shifts power dynamics within shareholder meetings. The company's focus on innovation in the medical device space is promising, but its small size and recent stock performance suggest it is still in an early growth phase where governance structure can play a critical role in its trajectory. What I am really watching is how these new bylaws, especially the lower quorum, will impact actual shareholder participation and decision making in future meetings. It will be interesting to see if this leads to more efficient governance or if it raises concerns about minority shareholder rights. Oh, and the research tools I actually use are linked in the description. They help keep this channel going. That is my take. Stay decoded if you found this breakdown useful. Remember to like, subscribe, and join our Discord community linked below.